You're the man. Your pitch, amazing, amazing. To nailing it. To nailing it.
Yes.
How'd it go last night?
Good night.
Let's do it again tonight.
And my sister's playing downtown somewhere.
I stay for a few days. Where's Henry?
That's my boss.
Hey, do you want to play?
Your hard drive is filthy. I mean, it is dirty.
Slowly.
I'm trying to help you.
In here, and you're a weight on me. You're a burden. You want to get out of here? I could take you somewhere.
We're family. We're meant to look after each other.
Hey, Romeo.
Brandon, please will you pick up the phone?
A Green Band NC-17 trailer in this economy? Wow, I didn't think that was possible. But you know, it's one of those weeks where the movies aren't that memorable, as we don't even have an intro for you here. But welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the two films that make up December 2nd, 2011. And like I said, after Thanksgiving weekend, obviously you're not going to have the big blockbusters coming out, or any big movies that the studios are really hoping for. So it's the indie market that we have to go to find the movies that are at least somewhat notable. And this first one definitely is a very notable movie. It's called Shame. You know, insert your shame, shame, shame from Game of Thrones. And it's definitely not that type of a movie. But there is a lot of sex in it, I'll give you that. It is an erotic psychological drama with Michael Fassbender and Carey Mulligan starring in it. So Michael Fassbender plays a 30-something man living in New York City who is unable to manage his sex life. After his wayward young sister moves into his apartment, Brandy's world spirals out of control, and Sham examines the nature of need, how we live our lives, and the experiences that shape us. Think of it as a more serious version of Choke, Choke is a very good movie overall, a fun, dark comedy, but this film takes it to an intense level where it does get, it more than deserves an NC-17 rating. This is the definition of what a good erotic thriller should be. I mean, we've had so many schlocky ones ever since the days of Basic Instinct that were just never as good as that movie was, but here's one that is not schlocky, doesn't play it too over the top, plays it very straight, and it just works to a T. It's a very intense movie with two solid performances by Michael Fassbender and Carey Mulligan, but you also have James Badge Dale, Nicole Beharie from Sleepy Hollow in here, and the movie isn't afraid to go down these dark pathways. And you know, you got a great director in Steve McQueen, who of course would later follow this up with 12 Years a Slave, showing what he can do as a director, and he just knocks it out of the park with this one. This is just a terrifically entertaining film. It works because of the performances overall, works because it's not afraid to go dark when it needs to. It's the prime definition of what a good erotic thriller should be. And yeah, a good NC-17 erotic thriller nonetheless. So take that for what you will. So yeah, not much more to say about that one. That is Shame. So let's go ahead and move on to the other movie we have this week, which is Sleeping Beauty.
Thank you for coming. Such a pleasure to see such a unique beauty. Let me tell you how things should proceed. I'll describe the job, and then, if you're interested, we'll discuss particulars. We will be working with other girls, some of whom will have more responsibilities. There is room for promotion.
I guess this is apparently an erotic thriller type of weekend, because here we have another one. This ain't the Disney Sleeping Beauty, I'll give you that much. But you have Emily Browning, who stars as a young female university student who takes into a part-time, high-paying job with a mysterious group that caters to rich men and women who would like the company of nude, sleeping young women. Lucy is required to sleep alongside paying customers and to be absolutely submissive to their erotic desires, fulfilling their fantasies by voluntarily entering into physical unconsciousness. To its credit, though, it's probably the better Emily Browning movie in 2011 than Sucker Punch was. Not even probably, but is that. It's an interesting movie. I'll give it that. It's loosely based on The House of Sleeping Beauties and The Memories of My Melancholy Whores. Such great titles here. As well as a recurring nightmare director Julia Lee experienced in which she dreamt she was being filmed in her sleep. So yeah, it's a pretty effed up movie, but an interesting effed up movie, if you will. A film that, yeah, like I said, it's the better Emily Browning movie that came out that year, and it's just a movie where it's very well done. I mean, it looks nice. It has a lot of ideas to it, even if they don't make a whole lot of goddamn sense, but it's still a well-done movie, and you gotta give it credit for where credit is due for that. But I wouldn't recommend this one to a lot of people per se, but only if you're looking for an interesting psychological horror drama with a lot of erotic elements to it. I mean, this movie definitely is that, but it's one I wouldn't say is something you're gonna want to watch over and over again, or even it's gonna tailor to a specific audience. But it is what it is, so let it pass. Sleeping Beauty.
Some people swear there's no beauty left in the world. No magic.
Oh, come on. We've got to do something to get you out of your New Year's Eve funk.
Then how do you explain the entire world coming together on one night?
New Year's Eve, bro. We're doing something.
To celebrate the hope of a new year.
My New Year's resolutions. If you can make these come true by midnight, you get these.
Well, check this out, buddy. We called the right guy.
Is that your New Year's guess? It's just something I'm working on for a rainy day. You should wear it tonight.
New Year's is the worst night of all to go out. People who don't drink, party all year, suddenly going all Kanye on you. Last year, I met a girl, and she was extraordinary.
My water just broke.
All of it?
You look beautiful.
I've been plotting that slap for years. It wasn't nearly as satisfying as I thought it would be. That was closer. Good one. This is the biggest night of my career, and if I screw this up...
You won't.
The countdown begins.
Let's do it!
What do you think? Somebody's gonna have a happy new year.
Resolution number 2. Be amazed.
Woo!
Are you amazed?
Check. Who are you gonna kiss at midnight?
So you went out for a slice of pizza, right? And you may have run into the one. You know what that's called?
Insanity.
Serendipity. You don't mess with serendipity.
That's what New Year's is all about.
Is it New Year's Eve?
Is it?
So raise your glass if you are mad, and also fly away from the
Oh, there's going to be more celebrities here than we have.
I'm freaking
Nothing beats New York on New Year's Eve.
That's deep, Robert De Niro. Too bad that that's nowhere in the movie. In fact, that scene in particular is not anywhere in this film, which is one of the many flaws of this film. Welcome to Time About the Movies, and today we are taking a look at the 4 films that wrap up December 9th, 2011. And our first film is, of course, New Year's Eve, which is another one of these ensemble comedies like Valentine's Day, where you have the star-studded cast in all these different roles with these little side stories. And if you thought Valentine's Day was a little bit was going way too far, strap yourself in for this one. So where do I begin? This is going to be a long one, so bear with me. Set during New Year's Eve in New York City, this movie follows several people and how the day affects them. Kim is a single mother who still thinks of her daughter Haley as a child who wants to go out with a boy that she could kiss at midnight. Kim's played by Sarah Jessica Parker. Haley is played by Abigail Breslin. Claire, who's in charge of the city's annual tradition, played by Hilary Swank, the ball drop on Times Square. And when something goes wrong, she has to ask an electrician who was fired to come and fix it. Laura, a chef who is cooking the New Year's Eve party for a record company who runs into Jensen. Laura's played by Katherine Heigl. Jensen's played by John Bon Jovi. Her ex, who's a singer and performing at the party. While he tries to apologize for how things ended, she refuses to accept it. Ingrid, a woman who works at the record company, played by Sofia Vergara, after having a near-death experience, decides to quit her job and asks the young messenger, Paul, to help fulfill her resolutions. I'm sorry, that's not Sofia Vergara. That's Ingrid's Michelle Pfeiffer, and Paul is Zac Efron. That I did remember. At a hospital, Stan, a man who's in the final stages of cancer, played by Robert De Niro, only wishes to see the ball drop. Also, Griffin and Tess, played by Jessica Biel and Seth Meyers, are a couple who are expecting one to be the ones who give birth first after New Year because of the available cash prize, but another couple is about to give birth. starting to see the problems of the movie yet. We're not even halfway through this synopsis yet. Randy, played by Ashton Kutcher, because he was in the last 2 movies like this. He's just not that into You and Valentine's Day, so fuck it, throw him in there. But Ashton Kutcher plays a man who's not exactly fond of the holiday because of something that happened, finds himself trapped in an elevator with a singer played by, you won't believe this, Lea Michele from Glee, who was one of Jensen's backup singers when he performs at Times Square. Also, Sam, the son of the owner of the record company who is out of town, is trying to get back to the city so he can give a speech at the party, but when he has an accident, since it's a holiday, his car can't be fixed, so he hitches a ride with some people going into the city, but it seems he had another reason why he needs to go back. So yeah, let me just run down this cast list for you. Halle Berry, Jessica Biel, John Bon Jovi, Abigail Breslin, Ludacris, Robert De Niro, Josh Duhamel, Zac Efron, Hector Elizondo, Katherine Heigl, Ashton Kutcher, Seth Meyers, Lea Michele, Sarah Jessica Parker, Michelle Pfeiffer, Til Schweiger, Hilary Swank, Sofia Vergara. There's your reasons why you should never, ever see this movie, because, good lord, this is about as bad as you think it would be. I mean, if you thought Valentine's Day was rough, you're not going to last halfway through New Year's Eve. I'm telling you, you're not going to do this, because... And let's just get to the biggest thing that's wrong with this. It's Gary Marshall. This guy has had a legacy of making great movies in the past. Beaches, Pretty Women, Nothing in Common, Overboard, Frankie and Johnny, The Princess Diaries, Dear God, which most people will be saying when they watch this movie, Dear God. Excuse me. And now, when you think of Gary Marshall's legacy as a director, you don't think about those classic movies. No. You think of the guy that made 3 generically horrendous comedies with every major star in Hollywood and no story whatsoever. Nobody is likable in this movie. Not one bit. Not this movie, not Valentine's Day, and not the last thing that he unfortunately forced into with Mother's Day. These characters are some of the most blandly written and selfish characters you will ever see in a romantic comedy. Some of the reasons behind the characters' actions are so stupid. The biggest one is easily the couple who are about to have a baby. The fact that they're rushing this, so not because they want this over with so quickly because they want to get ready to raise a child. No. They're doing this to win a cash prize. It's not only stupid, but it makes it pretty damn selfish on this couple. I mean, they just want to have a baby just for the money. They don't care about being parents. It's the ultimate form of commercialism at its absolute worst. And it's the cold-blooded reality of real-life parents nowadays. Like, I feel like I work in a grocery store, and I feel like every time I see people with kids that don't know how to behave and all that, and the parents just don't do anything, because that happens more times than you think, I swear to God, it really does feel like these people do not want to be parents for the sake of being able to raise a family. They want parents so they can use these kids as accessories or reasons for self-gain, if you will. But it's just really, really rough seeing it in real life. It sucks seeing it in a lighthearted romantic comedy like this. This is why I never want to have kids in this world. It's just I mean, it's just, there's so many complicated things there, and that's just one of the many, many problems here. And again, Seth Meyers, I guarantee you, once again, he was calling Lorne Michaels and saying, "Hey, Lorne, you got anything for me? Because I can't do this anymore." I mean, technically, he was still on Saturday Night Live up until he got the Late Show, so I guess he really wasn't too completely looking for work. But the movie just doesn't work because you don't like anybody in this movie at all. They're bland people. There's nothing about their lives that are that interesting that you want to follow them through. It is written as such a lazily written film. Like, their attempts at comedy is like Mamma Mia levels, where comedy is, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the power of comedy comes from misery. You can't write comedy as happy. Like, you can't write comedy as blandly as this. This is terrible comedy. And nobody in this movie feels like they want to be in here. Nobody feels like they have something to gain from this. You can just tell that the people in this movie were just given a paycheck and say, "Come on in and do this. Stay here for a day. Let's make a quick movie out of this." This movie is awful, man. This is worse than Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day at least was trying to do something with its stacked cast. This is literally scraping the bottom of the barrel. The jokes are not funny. The cast in this is just terrible. They're so poorly written. They're only there to collect a check and get out of here. It's false sympathy on every single level. This movie is the ultimate form of commercialism at its absolute worst. New Year's Eve is awful. Avoid this movie like the plague. I am begging you to do that. And you can also do the same thing with our next movie too, and that's Jonah Hill, in a movie that clearly was filmed this year. I mean, why would it look like that? I mean, it's not like nobody saw him in Moneyball, where he looked like he was much skinnier than he was in The Sitter.
Where a storm affects your...
Noah, can you get the phone?
Mom, the phone's ringing.
Noah, please get the phone.
Mom, the phone's ringing. Do you hear it?
Have you started looking for a job yet?
Sorry.
What about babysitting?
Babysitting sucks. Adult men don't babysit things.
You're wonderful with children.
Noah.
Mrs. Padula.
So good to see you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Get over. Bring it in for a hug, babe. What are we doing?
This is Slater, Blythe, and Rodrigo.
My real babysitter, Nancy. She does what I want her to do.
I'm not a real babysitter. I'm more of a sit on the couch.
What's up, you little tampon?
Do whatever I say or I'll kill you type of babysitter.
Ah! Hey, you sprayed perfume in my mouth.
I hate you. I'll destroy you.
Ah! You did it again.
I'm at a party.
Do you want to come?
I probably shouldn't.
I was thinking we could have sex.
Yeah, maybe I could work something out. Please, fasten your seatbelt. What you want? We've got billion balls. What you want? What are you doing in here?
I thought they borrowed.
Oh, that's very cute.
Because we apparently didn't learn our lesson from Due Date the year before. No. We just couldn't accept the fact that trying to do a much more raunchier and grossed out remake of a classic 80s movie, like we did with Due Date and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, was just a bad idea altogether. No, we gotta do this to Adventures in Babysitting, a movie that was rated PG back in the day, but this was 80s PG, where you could pretty much get away with pretty much whatever you wanted to in 80s PG. That worked back then. This does not, and yeah, this was clearly a film that was made way before Jonah Hill lost all that weight from Moneyball. I mean, this feels like a much different Jonah Hill than what we saw before than what we saw before in Moneyball. Like, this feels like a film that was made back in 2009 or 2010. But Jonah Hill plays a slacker college student who, after being suspended, is forced by his mother to fill in for a babysitter that calls in sick. And during that time, he takes his charges along for his extensive criminal escapades. First of all, slacker college student. We just saw him as the analytics guy in Moneyball. This was filmed 2 years ago. This was sitting on a shelf at 20th Century Fox for years. It had to have. It may not say it here on Wikipedia, but I'm sorry. There is no convincing that this film was not shot 2 or 3 years ago. I'm sorry, you just cannot accept me to believe that this film was made in 2011 and was clearly made to get out there because it made so much sense. Because Jonah Hill, Jonah Hill at the time, he was very young. Because he's young enough. I mean, he's about 30 years old when this movie. He's near 30 years old when this movie came out. Of course, people will buy him as a college student. Get the fuck out of here with that. And we could buy all this if the movie was funny, and it's just not. It suffers from a lot of the same problems that Due Date had the year before. It's taking a classic film from the 80s, trying to add more stupid gross-out jokes, stupid raunchy humor. I mean, I stopped the trailer just before the scene where the little girl's just like, they're in the car, and she's just like, I sharted. It's just like, I mean, I could do it right now, but, I could put the middle finger up there right now, but I don't know, yeah, screw it, I'll do it anyway. There you go. That's what I have to say to a movie like this. Yeah, F you for that. It's just gonna be a bitch trying to edit the black bar on there again, because it was like that last time with my finger moving around like that. But you get the idea. This movie is pretty much garbage. This movie sucks. It's not funny. There's nothing about it that makes it work. It feels like a film that was clearly made years ago. It was sitting on a shelf at 20th Century Fox, and somebody saw it and said, let's put it out there. And the worst part about it is, this is directed by David Gordon Green, whose last movie was the funny Pineapple Express. Has made a lot of good stuff before then, since then, but this was pretty bad. This is even worse than the last movie he made before. I forgot that he did Your Highness, too. Like, actually, I was going to say it's not as bad as that one, but let's be honest, they're both just as bad. Your Highness suffers a lot of the same problems as The Sitter does. It takes something that we've seen done before and adds pointless gross-out humor to it, and it's not funny gross-out humor. Like, I can't even tell you which one's even worse than that. I would say, if you had to pull my arm back and say which one's worse, I'd probably say Your Highness, because there was much more ambition to it. This one feels like it's a much smaller budgeted film, so on that level, I give it that. But at the same time, it's not enough for me to say that it's good. This movie just is awful stuff. Just terrible. Not much more to say about it. It's pure garbage, so let's try to turn the tide around here. Let's get to some good movies finally. Let's go ahead and move on to our next movie that we have here, and that is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy. A mind-bending thriller. There's a mole right at the top of British intelligence. Gary Oldman is flawless. She had information, the mother of all secrets.
What the hell are you doing up there?
Perhaps the great spy tale of our time.
We've been the only thing standing between Moscow and the Third World War.
Hands down, the best thriller of the year. Now's the time. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Rated R. Insolent theaters now. Everywhere January 6th.
Which in reality sounds like something that Andrew Dice Clay would have used in one of his comedy bits back in the day. Yo, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. How I wonder what you like that type of thing. You get the idea. But in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, this is a Cold War film set in the 1970s in London, and it follows the hunt of a Soviet double agent at the top of the British Secret Service. It features a lot of veteran actors: Gary Oldman, Colin Firth, Tom Hardy, John Hurt, Toby Jones, Mark Strong, Benedict Cumberbatch, Kieran Hines, David Densick, and Kathy Burke among the cast. And, excuse me a second. I had to burp there for a second off camera, sorry. But this is based off of a book by the same name by John le Carre, and also was originally a TV adaptation, too, back in the 1970s. And this one's a very interesting movie. Not for the movie itself, but just from the reactions from people when it came out. I mean, it was a highly praised movie when it came out, but I know a lot of people that saw this movie and really did not like it at all. Like, they were really just coming out of it going, like, that was not as good as people made it out to be. Which is funny, because when I say that about other movies that come out, I get the same thing. It's just like, you're the crazy one for not liking this movie. Well, I'm sorry, I tell you. Yeah, I didn't like it. And it's weird, because with this one, it's just kind of like, it's fine. I mean, it's not the best movie, but it's not a bad film either. I think it was because it was heavily overhyped when it came out. Like, everyone was considering to be, a high Oscar contender. And it did get a couple Oscar nominations for Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Original Score, and Gary Oldman got a Best Actor nomination. But other than that, I mean, it's fine for what it is. It's not a movie I would watch over and over again, but for what it is, I was expecting a film that, I was expecting a much better film, but as it is, it's perfectly salvageable. It's a solid looking period piece spy film, and the cast overall is great enough to make it stand out on its own. Yeah, not really much more to add to it per se. I mean, it's a movie that I could kind of see where people are coming from by saying it's not that great, but I don't know, I thought it was alright for what it was, So anyway, that's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that's Jason Reitman's latest film, Charlize Theron and Patton Oswalt in Young Adult.
Are you writing it?
I'm the author. I'm just signing it.
The series is done.
Ever a bookman.
Well, come on.
People here seem so happy with so little.
Everyone wishes that they could be like you. Living in the big city, famous and beautiful and all that.
Buddy Slade and I are meant to be together, and I'm here to get him back.
He's married with a kid on the way.
No, kid's here. I'm cool with it. I mean, I've got baggage too.
Young Adult. Rated R. In theaters December 16th.
Of course, leave it to Jason Reitman to have the best movie of the entire weekend. I mean, that's, compared to what we had, I mean, that's really not much of a surprise at all, but Charlize Theron, she stars in this movie as a 37-year-old woman incapable of happiness. She has had one failed marriage with no romance on her immediate horizon. She ghostwrites a young adult series of books, which is just being canceled due to low sales, and she's in the process of writing the last book, for which she's having a mental block. She lives vicariously through Kendall Strickland, the teenage female heroine in her books, and like Kendall, she believes her high school years were the best years of her life when she was the prom queen. When she receives news that her high school beau, Buddy Slade, and his wife, Beth Slade, have just had their first child, Mavis takes as a sign that she and Buddy are meant to be together. As such, she devises a false pretense to travel from Minneapolis back to her hometown of Mercury, Minnesota, to reclaim Buddy from Beth. As Mavis slyly, or not so slyly, does whatever she can to hang out with Buddy, even in Beth's company, if need be. She often runs into another high school colleague of hers, played by Patton Oswalt. Patrick Wilson's the guy that she's trying to get with, I'm sorry. She barely remembers Matt until she is reminded that he was the hate crime kid, i.e., he was beaten almost to death by the school jocks who believed he was gay, which he's not, which has left her, among other things, needing to walk with a brace. Matt ends up being Mavis's drinking buddy and confidant. Matt in turn tries to be Mavis's voice of reason and gets her out of her delusional state about Buddy and get a grip on reclaiming her life as a functioning adult. And really, yeah, it's what you expect from a good Jason Reitman movie. I mean, this isn't quite as strong as his other movies like Thank You for Smoking, Juno, and Up in the Air, but it's still a really damn good movie, and it still is a film that shows that, hey, this is nepotism at its absolute best, man. I mean, this is a guy who's definitely very much up there with his father in many, many ways. In fact, a lot of the Reitmans out there are very popular and very good overall, but it works because you got a great cast to work with here. Charlize Theron is great in here. Patton Oswalt, Patrick Wilson. You have Elizabeth Rysher, Colette Wolfe, J.K. Simmons, Jill Eikenberry. This is written by Diablo Cody, another movie that this is the first time they've written a movie together since her and Jason Reitman have been involved in a movie together since Juno. And it sadly didn't get as much attention as it should have. I mean, it didn't get any Oscar buzz. It quickly came and went at the box office, and it's a shame because, like I said, it's a really funny movie. It's a well-made film, and it works because Charlize Theron is giving it her all and showing that, you know, this is somebody who can work in so many different facets, not just with drama, but also comedy as well. And it's just a really, really good film overall. Not quite as strong as Jason Reitman's other movies, but it's still Jason Reitman doing what he does best. And, you know, young adult really does work very well. His next movie, on the other hand, is a different story, but we'll save that for 2014.
I see your web of conspiracy has expanded. I'm knee deep in the most important case of my career. No pressure. What are we up against here?
It's the Napoleon of crime.
Sherlock Holmes.
You're drinking embalming fluid.
Yes, go for a drop.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 3 films that make up December 16th, 2011's roster of films. And the first one we have here is the sequel to the breakout hit from a couple years ago, Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. In the sequel, Robert Downey Jr. is back as Sherlock Holmes, and his longtime trusted associate Dr. Watson is back as well, played by Jude Law. They take on the arch-nemesis Professor Moriarty, played by Jared Harris, with the help of Holmes' older brother Mycroft Holmes, played by Stephen Fry, and a gypsy named Sim, played by Numi Rapaz. The first Sherlock Holmes is a great movie, and a new, refreshing take on the classic stories with Robert Downey Jr. knocking it out of the park as Sherlock Holmes. It was visually stunning, nicely casted, an overall enjoyable movie, a really good film. The sequel is a piece of shit. I mean, this was pretty bad. I mean, not just pretty bad, really bad. I was completely shocked how terrible this movie was. Let's start with the good things about it, because there are good things. The cast overall, I think, is still really good. Downey Jr. and Jude Law are still great as Holmes and Watson. I thought Numi Rapaz overall was really good in here. She has the ability to play these bigger roles outside of Lisbeth Salander, which coincidentally will have a Girl with a Dragon Tattoo movie coming up next week on here. But I really want to see her get bigger and bigger roles. I really wanted to see her get bigger and bigger roles after this. And she was in Prometheus. She was one of the few things I liked about that movie, too. We'll talk more about that in a couple months from now, but I thought Stephen Fry and Jared Harris were pretty good as Mycroft and Moriarty. They were all really good. There's a really cool-looking action sequence in the forest that uses the slow-motion technology very well. But besides all of that, everything else was just really, really bad. I mean, it's not like they weren't even it's not like they weren't trying. They were trying to recreate the magic of that first film, and they pretty much ended up doing the same movie over again. That's the worst type of a sequel to do. If you have to do the sequel over again, compared to the first movie, dumb everybody down to where they were before, it created an entirely pointless movie in general. So the whole film beforehand serves as no purpose whatsoever. Like, once in a while that works. Home Alone 2 works. Hangover 2 doesn't work. But, I mean, it seemed like they were going for more action and more explosions. I mean, the first one had 2 major scenes with explosions, and that's fine. I don't know why we needed to add more to it, but maybe because it's just like, hey, go big or go home with a sequel. Plus, there's also too many long sequences of nothing happening. Like, this movie is filled with so many moments that are so boring and underdone. I almost fell asleep watching this movie. I never do that with a movie, and I almost did it with this film. That is unbelievable how far we go with this. Rachel McAdams is in here for like 2 minutes because we gotta kill her off. Because, hey, Dark Knight did it. And I'm saying this because this movie is trying way too hard to make this the Dark Knight of the franchise. I mean, they make it longer than it needs to be, stealing a lot of elements from the Dark Knight. One of those, of course, being the girlfriend, Rachel Dawes got killed in that movie. So let's kill Rachel McAdams' character in this movie. Because why the hell not? And just having this really depressing undertone for the majority of the movie. It's just like, lighten up already, for God's sake. Like, and the worst part about it is, they build Moriarty up as, like, the big baddie in this movie. He's supposed to be the Joker for like the Dark Knight is. Like, he's supposed to be the big villain that we're supposed to see throughout the course of the movie. You only see him for 30 minutes of this film, and he does not get a lot of screen time at all. He's supposed to be the main bad guy. This is Moriarty, the bad guy for Sherlock Holmes. Every hero has that main bad guy they have to face. Batman has the Joker. Superman has Lex Luthor. Luke Skywalker has Darth Vader. Sherlock Holmes has Moriarty. But they only share 15 minutes of screen time together. It's fine, but my problem is we don't get enough of that at all. And my biggest problem with the movie is that the ending is awful. Instead of a big action climax where the main villain was like what happened with the first film, all we get is Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty falling from the side of a hill after Holmes pushes him and himself off, thinking that they're both dead, only to have Holmes alive as the credits begin. That's it? That's all you're gonna give us? Like, you spent the entire movie trying to be bigger and bolder than the first movie was, and for this you just decided, we've run out of ideas. I mean, that's literally what I think happened. They ran out of ideas of what to do, and it's just, like, it's unbelievable how bad this movie is. Like, I've kind of a theory of why other sequels like this don't work. Even the ones that are inferior to their predecessors. Like, they always have to have a better climax in the first film. Here, they don't do that. They basically rip off the end of Superman Returns in the process. And, I mean, I hated that ending because it led to absolutely nothing. It was completely pointless to have that in here. And I've always said that sequels aren't as good as their predecessors, or at least they can be at least still watchable. Like, your Ghostbusters 2, Men in Black 2, Die Hard 2, Home Alone 2, the Lethal Weapon movies. But, like, if this is the best guy Richie can do with a sequel, then don't give him any more sequels to do. Thank God they weren't going to do another Sherlock Holmes movie, even if they were going to do it with Dexter Fletcher, which probably could have made it a little bit better, but probably not by that much, because it's just like, there's really nothing else you can do at this point, because you really let so many people down with this movie. This really is a terrible movie to a really great film, and I really don't know what went wrong in here, but this really was, out of all the movies we've covered this year that were so big and so disappointing, this may have had to have been the biggest disappointment, not only this year, but I had it in a long, long time. And I thought after all these years, I'd watch it again, and I'd find some value to it. There's not, man. This movie is just unbelievably bad. I can't believe how terrible this movie was. Avoid Sherlock Holmes, The Game of Shadows, like the plague. This is bad, man. This is really, really bad. So that's the movie that shocked everybody by being bad. Now here's the sequel that everyone thought was going to be bad, and sure enough it was. Alvin and the Chipmunks, Shipwrecked.
Family vacations are all about fun. Relaxing, spending quality time, getting to know each other. First, we're going to need to set some rules.
Dave, come on. Rules is my middle name. I'm the king of the world. Oh, seriously?
This Christmas.
We're having dinner with the captain?
No, I am. You're staying here. I have to go apologize for everything Alvin did.
This is so not fair. He's been driving me crazy. A lot longer than he's been driving you crazy. Hey, Dave.
Alvin?
I'm going
going to puke.
Alvin and the Chipmunks. Chipwrecked.
Shut your bitch ass up!
Yeah, when they start singing in this movie, you will want to be like that guy too. Just want to tell them to shut their bitch ass up and start running away. I mean, my God, this is bad. I mean, I gave the first two movies a little bit of credit because there was at least some of that magic that was in there from the original show in those movies, but there's no defending this garbage here. From the very beginning of the movie, it just felt like they were contractually obligated to make another movie and had no ideas whatsoever to work with. So playing abroad while on a cruise ship, the Chipmunks and Chipettes accidentally go overboard and end up marooned in a tropical paradise. They discover their new turf is not as deserted as it seems, that they come across a woman who claims she's been there for 5 years, but I'm sorry, if you have been on a deserted island for 5 years, your teeth do not look as white as this woman's teeth do, and your hair does not look as perfect as this woman's hair does, and you don't have like bruises and all that type of stuff. I mean, for God's sakes, this movie can't even get the logic of time correctly. Oh, and by the way, she's the bad guy in the movie now. Yeah, I know David Cross is in this movie, but no, the main antagonist of the movie is Jenny Slate, who wants the Chipmunks to go into this area to find this treasure, and they're literally grasping for straws. That's something to do here in this movie. I mean, literally, the very beginning of the movie, half the film is nothing but the Chipmunks and Chipettes just singing random songs for no particular reason while they're on this cruise ship. There's a thread of a story going on about how Alvin's causing a mess on the ship, but he's Alvin. He's the troublemaker. He's what everyone's expecting him to be. There's another subplot where these human women are so overcome by these little chipmunks who think they're so much better than they think they're better than they are. It's like the problem with the second movie. If you're threatened by 3 talking chipmunks, CG talking chipmunks nonetheless, then you need to get your freaking priorities straight, man. And like I said, they're literally grasping for straws with a storyline here. It's just, there's literally nothing of value in this film whatsoever. When David Cross is, the best thing about these movies is telling you that this was one of the most excruciating experiences he's ever worked on. That should probably tell you something right there. If he can't say, if the one guy who saves the somewhat of a thread of these movies is telling you that this is a terrible film, that should probably tell you something. I mean, it's a bad movie that doesn't work on any level. Things just happen to move a thread of a story along. And even those few elements, when David Cross is in this movie, are just wasted here. The music is placed in the most random of places in the beginning of the movie. It's just unnecessary. It sucks. It's painful. As somebody who grew up with the original Alvin and the Chipmunks, and seeing these movies continue to just tarnish the legacy that they had back in the day, like, this is just a bad movie, man. Even the tiniest kid you could possibly have will find nothing of value in this movie whatsoever. And I think people were starting to finally get the message here because, yeah, this may have been the lowest grossing of the series, but still made a shit ton of money, so of course we gotta make another one. But not just make another one when we need to. Let's make it when nobody was asking for it, and let's go ahead and put it out on the same weekend as Star Wars The Force Awakens. I'm not even kidding you, but we still have a long way to go for that. But let's be honest, you'd be better off never seeing Chipwreck in your lifetime. I mean, just avoid it like the plague. Like I said, just stick to the Chipmunk Adventure. If you want a good Alvin and the Chipmunks movie, Chipmunk Adventure's the way to go. But this, no, just no. So we had 2 bad sequels. How about a really damn good one? Let's go ahead and take a look at the last one we have here, which is easily the best of the 3 new releases. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. I'm sorry, I'm watching the Tom Grossi video in between these takes while I'm recording this. I shouldn't do that, but Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. There we go.
What's happening?
Abort. Experience the impossible 5 days early in IMAX. We're gonna have to go in from the outside. We?
You're not gonna make it!
You're not helping.
See it how it was meant to be seen. Shot with IMAX cameras. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Special previews in IMAX December 16th.
So yeah, this was a very interesting releasing pattern that Paramount had for this. Ordinarily, with a franchise like Mission Impossible, you would think you'd just release it in 3,000 to 4,000 theaters on opening weekend and then let the money come rolling in. But Paramount decided to do something a little bit different with this one, because this was the first Mission Impossible movie to be filmed, particularly with IMAX cameras. And so they decided to release this in all of their IMAX theaters, all 425 of them, and see what happens there. I mean, nobody was really expecting a movie like this to make a shit ton of money, but it made a lot more than people expected. It made like $16 million, which for Mission Impossible movie is the lowest grossing of the series, but considering that the movie only opened in 425 theaters in IMAX, I mean, that's really impressive stuff right there. And I think people were already suckered in because there was a lot of goodwill behind it, because this time around, it's not like the last couple of movies where it's been mainly focused on Tom Cruise and just him being the main focus of the team, focus of the film, and no team except in the last movie. The film overall had a lot of high expectations for it. You got a cast that includes Jeremy Renner, Red Hot Star, Simon Pegg, Paula Patton. You also have Brad Bird, who has been a longtime film director and animator with The Simpsons, The Iron Giant, of course, The Incredibles, and making his live-action feature film debut. There was a lot of high expectations, and they delivered on every bit of that and then some. So in this movie, you have Ethan Hunt and his team, Ethan Hunt, once again played by Tom Cruise, racing against time to track down a dangerous terrorist named Hendrix, played by Michael Nyqvist from the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, who has gained access to Russian nuclear launch codes and is planning to strike on the United States. An attempt by the team to stop him at the Kremlin ends in disaster, with an explosion causing severe destruction to the Kremlin and the IMF being implicated in the bombing, forcing the president to invoke Ghost Protocol, under which the IMF is disavowed, and will be offered no help or backup in any way, shape, or form. Undaunted, Ethan and his team chase Hendrix to Dubai and from there to Mumbai. But several spectacular action sequences later, they may still be too late to stop a disaster. And I'm just realizing, I don't think Ving Rhames is in this movie, and he's in all the other movies, but I think this is the only one that he's not in, except for the second one, too. I'm just realizing that. I haven't seen all the Mission Impossible movies since then, but like I said, just when you thought this series was topping off at Mission Impossible 3, you get this movie, and it was just a ton of fun to watch the first time around. It was at that point the best action film I'd seen in a long time, but we didn't know how much grander and more bigger than Mission Impossible movies were going to get with this, then Ghost Protocol, then Rogue Nation, and then Fallout, which is still the best of the series. And there's just so much to value in this movie in terms of enjoyment factor, and just a lot of things about it that was just so damn impressive. I think if you got to start with the positive, you got to start with Tom Cruise. I mean, the direction they went with this series, that's the way you're supposed to go with it. Instead of just focusing on Tom Cruise in the film, who is great. I mean, we get more screen time with the team, though. And the TV shows the films are based on really focused on the team itself, and not much the main character on the show. With the first 3 films, it was pretty much the opposite, where Tom Cruise was the center focal point of the film, and not just the crew itself. And I'm glad they took that step back. I feel like that had to be the logical move to get the series back on track. And let's be honest, Tom Cruise back in 2011 was not the big action star he was in 1996. This was kind of before he had his big comeback, where essentially any movie that he was involved in was immediately going to put butts in seats again. The action sequences are top-notch. For Brad Bird, who did a lot of animation before this, and actually I think he actually used 2D animation to put together the action sequences in The Incredibles. I mean, for him to work on this, and to come on and do these action sequences in live action form, this is a pretty damn good effort. I mean, these amazing cinematic and epic action scenes that range from Tom Cruise dangling off the Burj in Dubai, to the Sandstorm car chase, and to the opening scenes where the Kremlin blows up. Everything is nicely done and perfected so well to the point where you actually do feel like you're part of the movie. You're part of the adventure in here. I didn't go to see this in an IMAX theater because we didn't have an IMAX theater close by here, but even in the theater I saw it in, you really did feel like you are part of the movie. That's how good these action sequences really were. The chemistry overall between everybody is great too. The writing of Josh Applebaum and Andrew Nemec, who wrote for Lost and Fringe, I think works very well to the advantage of the script here. As I said, Brad Bird, this is his first live-action film, and he doesn't disappoint at all. He directs this movie the same way he did with the CG animated The Incredibles. The direction is, no pun intended, incredible, and I'm really curious to see the direction. I was really curious to see what direction he would go with this next live-action film, which was Tomorrowland, which was not a great movie, but I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did. I actually did enjoy it, but I definitely felt like it was lacking, especially in the second half. But again, we'll delve into that when we get to 2015. But let's talk about the best thing about this movie, in my personal opinion, and that's Paula Patton. And let me just tell you, I had seen her in stuff like Just Right, Jumping the Broom, Idlewild, Precious. She was really good in those movies. She was gorgeous to look at, but I've never seen her so hotter than I did in this movie. I mean, not only is she incredibly sexy in this movie, but she's a badass, too. I mean, she gets into a fight with another woman and beats her so much, she throws her out of a window. She bends arms and legs until they break. She's somebody that you do not want to mess with, but she is sexy as hell in this movie. I mean, if there's one takeaway from this movie that I always think of when I think of this movie, it's that scene where she's walking around the party in that sexy green dress. I mean, just look at her, man. Jesus Christ. I mean, if there was ever a category for a woman that looks good in a movie without ever having to take her clothes off and being like sexy lingerie, two people would make that list. Jessica Rabbit from Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Paula Patton in Ghost Protocol. She has never looked any hotter than she did in this film. And she proves that she's not just the beauty of the film, but she can also beat your ass to a pulp. It's not just the looks in here, but the looks are the most memorable thing I remember from this movie, because, I mean, just look at her, man. Jesus. Like, I lost my train of thought just looking at her. That's how gorgeous she looked in this movie, man. But besides that, this is still a really damn good movie. This is definitely the definition of a perfect action film. This movie did to Mission Impossible what Fast and Furious did to that series. It basically reinvigorated the series, rejuvenated it, and gave it some new life to it. And just like Fast and Furious, after a couple of really good sequels that top themselves, it kind of falls off when we get to the 2020s. But give us a movie that's even better than what comes before. 4 movies in, this is just such a really good movie, and one that still holds up. Even as the other films, the 2 films that come after this, have gotten better and better, this is still a really damn good movie that's still worth a watch, even after all these years later. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, I can't recommend it enough. Terrific film.
I need your help. We'll be investigating the most detestable collection of people you will ever meet. My family.
I need a research assistant.
She's different.
In what way?
In every way.
I've taken care of myself since I was 10.
Stay domestic, Harry. You learn to be sociable.
Elizabeth, I want you to help me catch a killer of women. Rated R.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Let's take the kids and go see the girl with the dragon tattoo. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the 6 films that make up December 23rd, 2011. And we are starting off with David Fincher's adaptation of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, of course based off the legendary books by Stieg Larsson. This time starring Daniel Craig as Michael Blomkvist and Rooney Mara as Elizabeth Salander, and tells the story of a man's mission to find out what's happened to a girl who's been missing for 40 years and who may have been murdered. I talked about the other films in the series before. I love the books. I love the Millennium Trilogy of films that came out last year. They were in my top 10 for 2010. And not only that, but you've got David Fincher directing this, coming off of his great work with The Social Network. Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara perfectly cast. Steve Zillian, a veteran writer. You know, there's no way this film could be bad at all, right? Ordinarily, I would say that this is where the disappointment comes into play here. But no, this is one of the few times where everything came together and made for a great movie. You get everything you want to see in a mainstream version of this, and then some, and it makes for one of the year's best movies. Daniel Craig, like I said, it's perfectly cast as Blomkvist. Rooney Mara giving easily the best performance of the film as Elizabeth Salander. I mean, I didn't think anybody could top Noomi Rapace, but lo and behold, here she is, and yeah, she knocks it out of the park. I mean, their chemistry together is really good. You also have great performances by Christopher Plummer and Stellan Skarsgård. Everything about this movie works very well. The film is nicely tightened and put together by Zillian. It's a shot-for-shot version of the original Swedish film, but it's not like the over-the-top, boring-as-hell piece-of-shit remake that Gus Van Sant did of Psycho 13 years prior to this. But this is also a movie that is very much worthy of that R rating. It is a very adult movie. There are a lot of cruel moments where Elizabeth is being raped by her guardian, and eventually she rapes him later on. But again, this happens in the other versions too, and in both versions, it can be really cruel to watch. But it's worth it to see her get her revenge on this guy, and it's just like, hey, she's not just going to stand there and take that. Unlike, sucker. This is the anti-sucker punch right here. What she does is awesome, rewarding, and she just beats him the hell up, sticks things up as you-know-what, forces him to watch him rape her to make sure that she gets full access to her account, even going as far as to say, tattooing "I'm a rapist pig" on her chest. I mean, it's cruel, but goddamn, that was fucking badass, man. That's what I love about Elizabeth Sounder. I think she's one of those great female characters in entertainment, because even though she could take the worst abuse anyone can imagine, she fights back and does equally as cruel or even more cruel and rewarding things to said person. And Rooney Mara, I'm glad to see she got an Oscar nomination for this performance, because it was definitely worth it to see this performance play as well as it did. Not to say anything that's not very good about the film, the last 15 minutes, I think, could have easily been trimmed down. I mean, the final conflict happens, and then we spend the next 15 minutes tying up the loose ends, and, that could seriously been trimmed down, or hell, even saved for a sequel, because this thing was a success, and you could have easily made another movie based off of the second book, but they never did it or anything. It's not bad or anything, it's just kind of like, it just feels unnecessary to throw that in there, honestly, but regardless, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is a really great shot-for-shot remake of the original Swedish film. Great cast, great direction, great storytelling, Rooney Mara's great as Elizabeth. I was really excited for the next film, and sadly, it took us 7 years to get it, and it was not any of them based off the original trilogy. It was based off the newer series of books, which we'll get to that when we get to 2018. But The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, great stuff overall. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie that we have here. Another great movie that came out this weekend. Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson working together to bring us The Adventures of Tintin.
Great snakes! Critics everywhere agree. Tintin is one of the best animated films of the year. Well done, my boy. Steven Spielberg and Peter Jackson have created pure magic. How's your thirst? Adventure. Excellent. Come on, Snowy! Newsweek calls it breathtaking. Not bad. And Rolling Stone raves. Tintin hits home for the kid in all of us. Give me those horns. Look at them fast asleep. Typical line lovers. The Adventures of Tintin in VOD, 3D, and IMAX 3D, rated PG, December 21st.
I mean, just Steven Spielberg directing this, Peter Jackson producing it. The idea was that Jackson and Spielberg would be splitting directing duties on future films, but sadly, this film never had any sequels. And I say sadly because, yeah, this thing should have had sequels. But we have Stephen Moffat, the guy who gave us Doctor Who, Edgar Wright, the creator of the Cornetto trilogy, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End, and Joe Cornish, who did Attack the Block. Again, all these pieces coming together, you would think at first that this is going to be the greatest thing ever, and then you see it, and then it's going to be a disaster. But like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, it's anything but that. It's amazing to watch. Having bought a model ship, the Unicorn, from a pound off a market stall, Tintin, voiced by Jamie Bell, is initially puzzled that the sinister Mr. Saccharine, played by Daniel Craig, another movie with him this weekend, should be eager to buy it from him, resorting to murder and kidnapping Tintin, accompanied by his marvelous dog Snowy, to join him in his gang as they sail to Morocco on an old cargo ship. Saccharine has bribed the crew to revolt against the ship's master, played by Andy Serkis, Captain Haddock. But Tintin and Snowy and Haddock escape, arriving in Morocco at the court of a sheik, also who has a model of the Unicorn. Haddock tells Tintin that over 300 years earlier, his ancestor, Sir Francis Haddock, was forced to scuttle the original Unicorn when attacked by a piratical forebear of Saccharine. But he manages to save his treasure and provide clues to the locations in 3 separate scrolls, all of which were secreted in models of the Unicorn. With a cast that is talented and a crew that is stacked, I mean, this thing came together for something incredible. This has some of the best motion capture work you'll ever see in a movie. It's better than Avatar, easily. I mean, that was supposed to be groundbreaking technology, but here it's perfected so well. The cast is great. Jamie Bell is great as Tintin. Daniel Craig is great as the villain. The highlight of the movie, who's having a terrific year, Andy Serkis. I mean, this, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Arthur Christmas, I mean, he brings a lot to this movie, and he's just so much fun as Haddock in here. And he has a lot of the funniest moments of the movie. The action sequences and visuals are so well done here. They were rendered very well. Some of them even last for long periods of time without cutting, such as the chase in Morocco near the end of the film. Goes on for 2 whole minutes without one single cut. It's one of the best action sequences I've ever seen in a movie, and you really get invested in it. This really does feel like an Indiana Jones type of an adventure, which makes sense that it comes from a guy like Steven Spielberg, who was behind all the Indiana Jones movies until the most recent one. the movie is just great to watch. The 3D overall is just okay to look at. I think that's the film's only real flaw because it's nothing really special. Nothing's really popping out of you in 3D, and it really isn't benefiting from being in 3D. But as a whole, it's nothing that special. But Steven Spielberg continues to prove why he's one of our great directors and treats this like a great live-action adventure made into a CG film. He does for this what Brad Bird did with The Incredibles. That's how good this movie was. I mean, this is a towering achievement of a movie. A lot of fun. A great action-adventure film that can appeal to everybody. Even though we don't really know the character of Tintin, we at least get a good introduction to him to audiences that don't know who this character is. I mean, I didn't know who he was, and I knew that he was on Nickelodeon and Disney Channel back in the day, but I never really saw the show back then. But hey, great introduction for anybody who doesn't know the character. It's visually stunning. The story is great. The direction is excellent. It's easily one of the year's best movies. No question about it. And it's the best Steven Spielberg movie that came out this year. And that's really not that hard to believe once we get to the next movie. But before we do that, though, let's take a look at Cameron Crowe's return to the big screen with We Bought a Zoo.
Exactly what we've been looking for. It's a bit complicated. What's so complicated? It's a zoo.
We need somebody who can really take charge of this place, or else we and all these animals are gone.
Am I doing anything right? Sometimes all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage, and something great will come of it. You coming? We Bought a Zoo.
Such a generic-ass title. I mean, I remember notably whenever Jake Norville was with Brad Jones and them on midnight screenings, he said for this movie, the name of the movie, We Bought a Zoo. We got a movie. Like, he was acting like the studio executive, and it's just kind of like, yeah, I agree with him. That's a really, really stupid title for a film. But it's based off of a memoir of the same name, and I guess they're trying to capture the Marley and Me audience because this is a 20th Century Fox movie, and Marley and Me came out that same weekend on Christmas Day in 2008. But it's directed by Cameron Crowe, and it follows Matt Damon as a widowed father who purchases a dilapidated zoo for his family and takes on the challenges of preparing the zoo to reopen to the public with the help of Scarlett Johansson. Also, you have Thomas Hayden Church, Ellie Fanning, John Michael Higgins. A good cast overall in this movie, and the film itself is not bad per se, but it is very, very corny and very cheesy. It's the type of movie that, like I said, it's trying to go for the Marley and Me audience, and it's just not there, man. I mean, Marley and Me works because you got invested in the storyline, and it did pay off with a very sad but well-done ending. This is a movie that's literally trying to grasp for that same audience and failing very miserably at it. I mean, I say failing miserably at it. It's just not a good movie. It's just kind of a bland film. Matt Damon and Scarlett Johansson are kind of half-assing it through this film. There's not really a whole lot of laughs in here either. It's just kind of like a film they were trying to set up as this big family adventure film for the holiday season, and it's just not there this time around with them. And Fox has been pretty good with a couple of these movies as of the last couple of years, but this one, not so much. So yeah, it's a hard skip on We Bought a Zoo. And sadly, this is kind of the beginning of the end for Cameron Crowe, because his next movie he would do after this was the career-killing Aloha, which, yeah, that was a pretty bad movie, but we'll save that one for 2015. In the meantime, let's go ahead and see what Steven Spielberg also has for us, because he's back again with another movie opening this weekend, and that is War Horse.
Hey, Joey, you understand? Joey, that's you.
England is at war!
I promise you, man to man, that I'll look after him. And if I can, I'll return him to your care.
Wherever you are, I will find you. And I will bring you home.
God, even that horse is looking at this guy and saying, lighten the hell up already. I mean, that's the biggest problem with this movie, is that it takes itself way too seriously for a plot that's way too stupid. This is a film about, takes place during World War I. It tells the story of Joey, a bay thoroughbred horse raised by a British teenager, played by Jeremy Irvine, as he is bought by the British Army, leading him to encounter numerous individuals and owners throughout Europe, all the while experiencing the tragedies of the war happening around him. And the film is just, it's one of the worst things Steven Spielberg has ever directed. I mean, that's saying a lot, because the guy very rarely misses, but yeah, this is the one that misses badly. This is right up there with The Lost World, Jurassic Park, in terms of the worst thing Steven Spielberg has ever directed. The whole plot of the film is a love story between this guy and his horse, and it's so generic and melodramatic that it's not even funny. You never feel for any of the characters in here. The story itself is such bullshit because it's trying to get a cheap emotional impact out of you, and is failing miserably at it. The actors are okay. You've got some pretty good talents in here. David Thewlis, Tom Hiddleston, Benedict Cumberbatch, Eddie Marsan, Toby Kebbell. Good people in here, and they're trying their best to work with the material given them, but come on. You're trying to act your way out of a story about a boy and his horse that he wants to bang. I mean, literally, that's literally what it's about. Like, this movie, it didn't work. It's a film that just doesn't work because it's melodramatic, it's lazy, it gets by with decent acting from the actors, some nice visuals, but other than that, it's a major misfire for Steven Spielberg. And on a weekend where he had one of his best movies with The Adventures of Tintin, this is the one where he clearly wasn't putting his all into it. I mean, at least in movies where he was trying to get that Oscar, The Color Purple or Empire of the Sun, he was at least putting some effort into it with the storytelling. But here, not so much. This one is pretty bad. But it's at least tolerable, and makes sense, unlike our next movie, which is a sci-fi thriller, but it's one of the most goddamn hilarious things I've ever seen in my entire life. The Darkest Hour.
Never seen anything like this. Absorbing all our power supply.
They came here with a plan. What's ours?
You gotta be kidding me. Oh my god. The first time I watched the trailer for this, I thought to myself, this is a joke, right? This has to be a parody. This cannot be a real movie by any means necessary. Sorry for the light changing. I'm just going to the next page here, but no, this is an actual movie that people were very serious about. And they decided to put this out on Christmas Day. And spent $65 million to put it out. I haven't had a good laugh like that in a while, I'll tell you what. But, what's the story of this movie? American software designers Sean and Ben travel to Moscow to sell their software to investors. However, their Swedish partner Skylar pulls a fast one on Sean and Ben, and they are out of the business. They go to a nightclub where they meet Americans Natalie and Anne, and Australian Anne, because why the hell not? They flirt with the girls and see Skylar in the club. Out of the blue, the population is surprised by lights, which they mistake for natural phenomena, but soon they learn the lights are aliens invading Earth, and use the power supply to annihilate mankind. So these little lights are aliens. Like, we can't get any lazier than this, people. This is ground zero. Sorry, there's still more plot here. Sean, Ben, Natalie, Anne, and Skylar hide in the kitchen. When they leave the place, they seek out survivors on the street. Are they the last people on Earth? Oh, I hope so, because if anybody else on this planet was completely destroyed by these tiny little specks of light, then these people deserve to be the last people on Earth. I mean, my God, what a horrible, horrible movie. There is zero effort put into this whatsoever. The most threatening thing are these little tiny specks of light. Like that right behind me could be an alien right now that could destroy me in the most cartoonish way possible. I'm sorry, there's no way to take this seriously when the first thing you see of these aliens attacking is a dog getting obliterated in the stupidest way possible. This is one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen in my entire life. This is really stupid. Everything about this movie sucks. I mean, this cast, Emile Hirsch, Max Minghella, Olivia Thirlby, Rachel Taylor, Joel Kinnaman, they all deserve much better movies than this. This right here is ground zero for stupid sci-fi movies. A film that's trying to start a big sci-fi franchise for some entertainment because, hey, the Twilight series is coming to an end, and we didn't think we could get any stupider than those movies, but here we go, right here. Just fucking awful, man. Just what a terrible, terrible movie. Like, what more do you have to say? The Darkest Hour. Absolutely fucking awful. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here. And we turn the tide with our last film that we have here. Extremely loud and incredibly close, like what I am right now.
Did you know my father? He was in the building in 9/11.
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close has now been nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture and Best Supporting Actor, Max von Sydow. It's extraordinary and emotional powerhouse. Time magazine is praising Max von Sydow's performance as magnificent, and People magazine is calling it the best movie of the year.
What do you miss about it?
I miss his voice telling me he loves me.
Me too.
Rated PG-13, now playing.
Yeah, funny story about that Oscar nomination for Best Picture and Max von Sydow. We'll get to that in a little bit here, but a troubled young boy named Oscar is trying to cope with the loss of his father, who died on September 11th, and coincidentally, this is being recorded on September 11th, 2025, so what perfect timing, I guess, but Oscar starts lashing out at his mother and the world until a year later he discovers a mysterious key in his father's belongings and embarks on a scavenger hunt to find the matching lock, just as he used to help to when his father was alive. On this journey, he is bound to meet a lot of people and learn a lot about himself and his family, but will he ever find the lock? And will this movie stop trying to grab Oscar buzz here? Because this movie, yeah, let's talk about the controversy behind this, because, you know, everyone thought before this was going to be an Oscar contender for Best Picture, as Stephen Daldry's last two films got Best Picture nominations. However, this thing got thrashed by critics, 54% on Rotten Tomatoes, and, you know, it was a film that even the other Oscar ceremonies, the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, the Screen Actors Guild Awards, did not deem it a major contender. The Golden Globes, back when they were scummy, didn't think this was a major contender. And yet, it got a Best Picture nomination, and many people called it the worst Best Picture nominee ever. And Max von Sydow got a Best Supporting Actor nomination too, which was also met with some controversy as well. And you know, there's been a lot of bad Best Picture nominees and Best Picture winners, and this one, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's literally the definition of an Oscar bait movie. It's a movie that has two people who have already won Oscars, Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock. A cast also includes Viola Davis, John Goodman, Jeffrey Wright, and has the writer of Forrest Gump behind it, Eric Roth. So yeah, they were clamoring for an Oscar that badly, and people saw through the bullshit right away, and it didn't do well at all. Like, it was a film that really could have been replaced by so many other better movies in 2011, but this film really was not a good movie. This is a film that was very boring. Nothing about it made it fun or made it enjoyable overall. The acting is kind of bland. Tom Hanks and Sandra Bullock very rarely make bad films where they're trying to be serious actors, and this is one where I really do think they missed the mark on it big time. It just wasn't enjoyable, and there's nothing about it that makes me say it's a film that deserves a Best Picture nomination. It's not a bad Best Picture nomination, but I would have liked if it had gone to a much better movie that came out in 2011, but the fact that this was literally probably bought and paid for an Oscar nomination for Best Picture, I mean, that's pretty much everything you need to know about how bad this movie was. I mean, bad's an understatement, like I said. It's just a boring movie. It's just not an enjoyable film. It's a movie that is clamoring for Oscars so badly and just fails miserably at every single level at it. It just doesn't work. Extremely loud and incredibly close. It's not anything that's worth it.
Of the grocer,
I will never betray one.
who became the leader of a nation.
Time to put the great rock engine, great Britain.
In a world where men had the power,
I come back every day of my life.
she had the courage.
We shall never give in.
You've been an inspiration to women like myself.
Time magazine rates Meryl Streep gets the best performance of the year in one of the best movies of the year, The Iron Lady, rated PG-13.
Yeah, you're wrong on both counts on that front, buddy. Welcome to Time About the Movies, and today we are taking a look at the two films of December 30th, 2011, the last two films officially released in 2011 worth mentioning, until we get to the 2011 leftovers next time around. But we start off with the first movie we have here, and that is The Iron Lady, a biographical film about the life and career of Margaret Thatcher, a British politician who was the longest-serving Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of the 20th century, and the first woman to hold that office. You also have cast also includes Jim Broadbent, Harry Lloyd, Olivia Colman, who else is in here of noteworthiness? Richard E. Grant, Anthony Head. Some notable names in here. This is directed by Philinda Lloyd, who worked with Meryl Streep last time on Mamma Mia, and we all know how great of a movie that turned out to be, which it wasn't, but yeah, this is a movie where, you know, Meryl Streep won her 3rd Academy Award for this, and if we're being completely honest here, she shouldn't have won this. I mean, granted, yeah, she's great in the movie, she's the reason why this movie has any notability to it, but I'm sorry, man, this performance was not up to Meryl Streep's usual standards here, and just to give you kind of an indication of the performances that were in this category that should have easily won it, you had Viola Davis for The Help, Michelle Williams in My Week with Marilyn, and Rooney Mara with The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And also you had Glenn Close, who sadly but surely keeps getting screwed over by the Oscars no matter what she does. And even in the movie she was in, Albert Nobbs, that wasn't even something that was worth noting. I don't even have it on my leftovers list. But Viola Davis, Rooney Mara, Michelle Williams, all better performances that should have won this award. But they gave it to the veteran and Meryl Streep because we got to give her that 3rd Oscar somehow. This one isn't as bad as the Colin Firth Oscar the year before for The King's Speech, because the movie isn't bad per se. There's just nothing really about it that makes it memorable except for Meryl Streep's performance. It runs by a typical standard biopic period piece movie. You get what you expect to see in a film like this, and there's just nothing out of it that hasn't been done in other biopics like it before then. Like, it's the same type of biopic we've seen done over and over and over again, and there's just nothing in this one that's worth it. Like I said, the only thing you come out of it going is that, hey, Meryl Streep's pretty good at it, but you won't say that, no, that should be the best actress winner of the year, especially in a year where you had Viola Davis, Rooney Mara, and Michelle Williams for The Help, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, My Week with Marilyn. All those performances should have won. Hell, I wouldn't have even minded if they gave it to Glenn Close. Let her have her Oscar already. She's been trying to get one for 40 fucking years now. Just make it happen, man, but sadly, it will never be the case, unfortunately. And Glenn Close will probably go the rest of her career without winning an Oscar. And even if she does, it will just be a body of work Oscar. Like, I feel like this one is in particular. Just no reason to give Meryl Streep this Oscar for this. She's been in much better movies. And yeah, she's the best thing you'll take away from this movie. But it's still not a great movie overall. It's just kind of a bland movie. It's nothing really worth that much to talk about here. Not a great movie overall. I mean, it's not even worth it that I don't even have a regular intro for this show to start off with. I just want to get this one out of the way. I mean, that's how much of a kind of a lackluster week this is. But yeah, that's the Iron Lady for you. So let's go ahead and move on to the other movie we have this week, and certainly is the much better movie of the two, and that is Pariah.
It opens onto the sunrise. For even breaking, it's opening.
The New York Times raves. Experience the thrill of discovery. Rolling Stone calls Pariah wonderful. Adupero Oduye is luminous. It's a must-see.
I'm not broken. I'm free.
Pariah, now on demand same day as Blu-ray and DVD.
Yeah, sort of a precursor to movies that would eventually win the Oscar for Best Picture, like Moonlight. This film very much feels like a type of movie in that same category as Moonlight is. It tells the story of Alike, played by Adupero Oduye. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name correctly, but she plays a 17-year-old black teenager who's embracing her identity as a lesbian. And that's pretty much the movie in general. And it's a very interesting movie. It's a film that does, you know, it works because the performances are so really good in here. And I'm actually kind of surprised that this woman never really took off on anything afterwards. I mean, she has been in a couple of other notable movies, like 12 Years a Slave, The Big Short, and Widows, only but like in a couple of smaller roles. But yeah, she hasn't really done anything of true noteworthiness since then, honestly. And I'm actually kind of surprised by that. Like, you know, she's really just showing here that she has a lot overall to make herself where she could have been an easily that top rising actress going forward. But I think the real performance that kind of sticks out here really is the performance by Kim Wayans, who plays her mother in here. And, you know, Kim Wayans is, of course, part of the Wayans family. And it's a movie like this that makes you realize that, oh, the Wayans aren't only people that can be funny, but they can act their ass off. I mean, we've seen it with Marlon Wayans. You know, we just had Requiem for a Dream back in the day, and just recently, and next week, by the time that you're seeing this, it's actually being recorded. 1 week from now, he's going to be in Him. Where he actually looks like he's really acting his ass off in that movie, trying to make people believe that, hey, those terrible spoof comedies I was in, that's not just me. I can act my ass off. So, and here, yeah, Kim Wayans does a very good job of handling that. I think he's very good in here playing role of her mother. She really is a breakout character actress in this movie, and again, kind of like with the leading star in the film, you're actually kind of surprised that she never really took off on anything. Like, the person that really took off and really broke out big time was Charles Parnell, who plays her dad, and he eventually became the Rear Admiral in Top Gun Maverick recently, and he was also on All My Children. So yeah, there's a lot of really good performances in here. The movie has this really slick visual look to it, and Dee Reese is a pretty solid director with this film in general. I mean, it's a movie that really is an engaging watch overall, great performances overall, a good story to tell, a nice simple coming-of-age storyline here about this woman who's just embracing her identity for who she is and not going to let anybody tell her otherwise. And it's a very captivating, very intriguing film that works, and it's definitely one that definitely deserves a lot more attention. If you haven't seen Pariah, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth a watch. So yeah, a real quick one this week, just so I can get those two movies out of the way, and we are officially done with 2011.